Okay, 1 o'clock here, that call the meeting to order. Roll call will show that all the commissioners are present. Next item would be the approval of the agenda. Yeah.
To approve the agenda.
Motion. Second. Second. One can, all in favor, say aye. Aye. That passes. Item 3, public comment.
No, sir.
Okay, move on to the consent agenda. Anything? Questions? C, 4C, did you guys give information on all the deputies? Or you guys have more up your alley than mine? You guys work with people, though. Well, I know it's city side, I guess, or I should say it, I don't know, whatever. So, okay, need action on that.
Make a motion on consent agenda.
Second. Have a motion in a second. All in favor there, right?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Have all the reports. Are there any questions on any of the reports? Didn't see anything, I guess. Myself. Zero. They go, couple of good points. You obviously get that. I think that's gonna leave that at that, so. Yeah. So, anything for anyone? So that's a non-action item, we move on to the regular agenda. Capital 2025 capital. You guys have the floor, I guess. Your name's on your ring.
Yeah, I'll just, unless you guys want me to introduce it, right?
Sure.
Okay, so memorandum 25-32 in your packets, just as a little bit of background, as you've seen in the financial reports, and I should mention too, that a lot of the financial statements are not in here because we're meeting a week early, so it's difficult for us to get the balance sheets and everything done. So, and since November and December are also a week early, we're just gonna have a 1 month lag here for a little bit, so that's until January. What you've been seeing in those reports is we have been trending better than budget on a lot of items. The water department is from an income statement is really ahead of the game, but a lot of that's because of the grant funding we received for the lead service line project and the PFAS settlement. But still, everything very strong, very solid. Electric department is the same way. We are seeing some expenditures go out in both cases for the CIF, but that's all as projected. So given that everything is performing better than budget, everything's on track, there is an opportunity to get caught up in a couple more capital equipment items. And those we've listed in the memo. I'll let the superintendents talk about that specifically. But one of the things we'd like to do is, we try to do the best job we can in trying to predict how the year's going to play out. But if we get to the end of the year, it is not uncommon for us to make adjustments. If things aren't, trending a little bit worse than budget, we might scale back a couple of purchases and vice versa. If things are going well, we might use that as an opportunity to catch up on some deferred maintenance. So we're bringing this before the commission. I've talked about a couple items that we think would be of value to invest in now, given some of the expenditures we're expecting over the next few years. With that, I will hand it over to Scott to talk about the 2 line part items. Scott?
So yeah, we have a couple items there, just kind of the stuff that kind of a little bit of deferred maintenance. We can operate without them, but we have had them. They're good tools for us, and then as they operate without them. But the couple we have on, there's the chlorine analyzer. The plant 2 has had one in it since it's been built. the one that was in there just essentially aged out, so you can't get, we couldn't get replacement parts for that one anymore, so we, ran most of the summer, or the summer without, that going. We were still testing and doing all our stuff, but that's another nice tool to have on the plant there to, keep an eye on trending and they'll look at, how things are going. And then the other one's a dehumidifier, the plants with the backwash and then the tanks sweating with all the cold water constantly flowing through there. We constantly have a dehumidifier running in them. Generally had two in there. The one was giving us starting to give us more troubles, or we're one in there we have in the past, usually ran two. So this is kind of just get us caught back up on, getting them in there, then we'll switch them around to, the new one will go into plant one, and we'll take the other one, kind of cycle them back down to plant two there, so. Makes a huge difference in, I think, keeping the plants dry and not rusting and that kind of stuff. They're just overall plant condition on them. And then the vac truck deal, we actually solved that issue today. So one that we've been working on throughout the summer, kind of keeping our eye on. And we were able to locate a truck that was actually under budget from our original forecast, so.
So we're actually withdrawing.
We're withdrawing the.
There's, yep,
the truck.
yeah,
Yeah,
So technically, this is just on water.
yeah.
It's all water ones, right? All right.
yeah, so the total request is 13,800.
Okay.
Yeah, we had been watching through the summer. I know we had kind of put this on pause, I guess, the purchase of this, just to see how the summer went and if anything else, major repairs or expenditures had come through. And keep kind of cut us loose on there to start looking, getting a little more serious on it here. And there was three or four trucks in the United States, and we were able to get one of them secured. I think it should be a good fit for us. It's kind of what we had demoed one here a week or so ago. Kind of the consensus was it was just too big of a truck. That one was 370,000. It's kind of similar to what we're looking for, but that much bigger, almost double the payload or the truck size. It was a tandem. We've been looking at a single axle is what our thought was and fit was for.
What you found.
Yes, that is the truck that we.
Under that original budget.
Yeah, yep. So,
And does it have the 6-inch tube?
yep,
Okay.
6-inch one there, so it's,
That's what you.
yes, yep, it's a 2020 with, I believe just over 50,000 miles on it. So it looks like it, come from a good company. We bought it through a kind of an auction, or through Ritchie Brothers, I guess, so there's a little bit of a premium there, and then, actually, I mean, as a more of a warranty, I would not say warranty, but a little bit of assurance, I guess, is what they call it on there, to, when it shows up here that it's not gonna be what it's supposed to be. So there's versus a random deal, so they're got a little backing behind there that we have
A
a
little bit better.
recourse of action if it's something that we're unexpected, but there's, we looked it over really good, talked to a couple different people on it there, and that should be a really good fit for what we need, and worked for us pretty good, hopefully for years.
What did we do before?
We have the trailer style, the 4-inch that we got kind of 3-4 years ago now. Picked up it was a used one there too, kind of, slowly the backs have been stepping up. We started out with a little bitty one. It's like 7 years ago, 8 years ago now. And the need just keeps getting more and more, and there's more use for it, and kind of one of them now is one of our.
So we can keep that?
No, we will move that on, so. Move that out, so we don't, we need the room.
We think we'll get back on it. There's a need.
I guess in 10, 15, this is about what we paid for that one, so that one came from. Let's see, a co-op in the northern Minnesota, we picked it up out of there, so, and it's been a good unit for us. Just with looking for something a little bit bigger, the truck style, I think everybody's kind of really excited about that. We're less to get around with, the trailer, the truck and the trailer, you're back in there, we got half the road blocked at times, and the boom on this is our other big one that there to help hold that up while you guys back, and that's kind of like wrestling wet noodle when you're trying to back, so the boom, I think, is gonna be a great addition to it. Yeah, that was the other truck that we looked at, and we were just like, it'd be great, but it's just too big for us, for alleys and that kind of stuff to get around, and then taking up that much more room on the streets, kind of try to stay out of traffic when we're doing stuff, so. The trailer one, it would seem like we were always halfway hanging. Time you got it backed in there, the trailer backed in, ready to go, then the truck was hanging out in the street, and this year we're hoping is gonna help alleviate some of that stuff, so.
So where is this located?
North Carolina,
Information.
we'll just have it shipped back. You know,
Probably take a couple days to go down.
Good job, Keith.
yeah, there's not a lot of them out there, so it's been a tough find to find one. You looking up for a skid loader, there's hundreds or thousands of them across in the state to look for it here. And this one here, we just not a lot of them out there. They're still building them. I mean, there's still a current deal, but they're just, they just don't come either. They come, well, some of the ones we found are just trashed. They're just, I mean, you could tell they were,
Well, there was the rental companies out,
you know,
but they don't want
have it.
and when they sell them, they've already got 5 and 3 of them. They gotta, you rent them out, and Tom buys them all from you.
How do you guys have about 50,000 miles, that's 45 years,
Mhm.
what I'm saying. How do you equate the mileage and the actual use of the machine?
So they don't have a back on, or an hour on the back unit. They don't have a PTO or hours on the truck, I should say. So it's got 5,000 hours, I think. I could be wrong on that. I don't have that in front of me, or I don't have that graphic, but
That'd be more critical than the mileage probably.
yeah, so I mean, it's in pretty decent hour range. It's nothing crazy. There's in the information we got on the truck, there was oil sample analysis that they had done end of September. Everything was good on that for the engine oil. Say there's like 120 some pictures online that we looked through and some videos that we watched, so.
But such a small geographic footprint here. But we'll be putting many miles.
No, and that was kind of our deal. We found, another one out in California that was 150,000, but it was missing some cold weather package, a little bit cleaner truck, half the miles, half the hours type of deal. And there was another one in Chicago that we'd found, remember the kind of the 3 we've been kicking around, that was twice the other way, higher miles, higher hours, and they wanted more money for it. And that was when that's kind of where this one come from, the original, where we had there, and we just couldn't find nothing else. And then this week here, we found, kind of got more resourceful and off the normal truck ads and stuff like that, and found them other 2 that we've been kind of working through here this week, here the last couple of days to get something for phone, so.
Just all those good use last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be around for a good long while. And then, I mean, a new one of these is, this thing is 4 to 5 range. So they, heck of a hit on the few years that they're taking on it, so.
Oh, maybe I think. Okay. But partly gonna prove that.
So it'd be just the first half of the suggestion motion for the chlorine analyzer and for 13.8, and then, like I said, we're already.
The truck will be done.
Yeah.
Correct, the truck was part of the original budget approval, that was done at the end of last year.
Well, that'll be the budget item. That doesn't seem that is.
Nope, it's already. Yeah, the reason it was in here is we were thinking we were gonna have to spend more than. Oh, sure. Scott came through, so very good, very good.
Not surprising. And it was there.
I make a motion to approve the chlorine analysis and PM under fire for 13.
Yes, motion.
Second.
And you stepped it pretty thoroughly. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh. Like carried. Budget discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll take this one. October, so I got actually 2 memos, 25-33 and 25-34. Typically, the way we handle our planning process for the next year, is staff will begin work on the budget and fees in September, provide basically a proposed budget in October, allow time for the commission to review, come back in November with potential revisions or feedback. And then, if needed, staff can then take that information back, redo or adjust the budget appropriately, and then come back in December with the final approval. The way we've handled it the last several years is, barring any major suggested changes by the commission. The budget's been proposed in October. We get to November, everybody seems to be on board with the assumptions, and the commission's approved it in November. Which gives staff time to make sure everything gets updated prior to January 1st, so we get everything published. Can work either way. That's really the commission's discretion. So attached is a few different things in the memo. I'm not going to read through all of it. I tried to identify to the commission what I saw as really the primary changes or things to keep in mind. Typically how I come up with a budget, just so the commission is aware. I will take our current year-to-date numbers for the year, extrapolate those out for a full 12-month period, to kind of project how this year played out. And then I also do a 3-year average of the 3 most recently completed years. In this case, that would be 2024, 2023, and 2022. And create an average of those. Kind of take those two numbers, kind of find a happy medium. Lots of times I just average those two numbers as a best guess. And then we will go through and try to identify categories in which something significant may change, whether it's a increase or decrease in revenues or an atypical expense that we're anticipating. Overall, the largest things that we had to keep in mind when we put together the budget was the addition of paid family medical leave effective January 1st for all organizations in Minnesota. As I reported earlier, health insurance increases at 14% for next year, 4% increase in payroll. And then the one thing I want to point out in the tables, you will notice this because I do provide variances because of how we track expenses where salaries are allocated to different categories instead of one overall salary category. You'll see different fluctuations between purchase power, production plant, distribution, customer accounts, but that's just because everybody's cross-trained. There are times where the water department might have a lot of projects in the treatment plant, which is under the production plant category. And then other years where they might be doing a lot of distribution work on the mains, so those fluctuations you see there are, you have to take them in context with each other. So one might look a lot higher and one a lot lower, but that's just because of the allocation in the spirit. Typically what I assume is a very conservative 0% annual growth in units sold. That can vary widely based off seasonality issues. If we have a long, hot, dry summer, we will see significant higher revenues than if it was a short, cold, and wet summer. So those obviously are hard to predict. And so generally speaking, I assume a 0% annual growth. Did provide in the memo just kind of what the range we've been seeing the last few years, just so that the commission understands the variability there. On the water side, it's really important to note that the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources has significantly increased their safe drinking water fee. That corresponds to about a 46-cent per month per meter increase that we have to expense. That's really just a path through. So we would have to increase our monthly charges by 50 cents to account for that, plus a little bit more on the rate increase because we are looking at increasing our volumetric charges on the water side by 1.5%. My back of the envelope calculation is between our between our rate increase of 1.5% plus the DNR's tax increase, it's an overall 2.5% increase in water rates. By way of comparison, the MMUA Summer Conference, there was an engineering firm who presented results from their survey. They were finding that the average rate increase expected in 2026 for non-metro water utilities is 6.1%, and for metro utilities is 5.5%. So we're well under that average that the state is anticipating. Otherwise, added a couple other things in, again, as we put in, as we continue to modernize and digitize our equipment, just making sure that we get, add in some additional budgets for computers. And skimming through here real quick. A couple of things, our interest income is decreasing a little bit after a couple of years of some higher yield returns and because we've been utilizing some bond proceeds. So that's typical. And then our depreciation obviously is going up as we invest more in our capital assets. On the electric side, same thing, conservatively estimate, assume a 0% annual growth, even though we've been averaging, I want to say overall about a 1.8% annual increase. We are looking at a rate increase on the electric side as well, and I put in 1.5%. That is based off of the rate study information that we have done with DGR over the years as we could work through the cap plan. And there's also a way to help smooth out some anticipated changes coming in on the wholesale side, which I'll go to in a minute. So we would be looking at a 1.5% for 2026. Again, by way of comparison, Excel recently requested from the state PUC a 9.6% increase in 2025 and a 3.6% increase in 2026. That's currently under review. Connexus raised their rates 3% in 2025. East Central raised theirs roughly 6% in 2024 and implemented an ECA as well. Anecdotally, I've just been hearing from some other SIPA members that they're predicting more kind of that 1.5 to 1.8% rate for 2026 to address the recent changes in the wholesale market. I should also point out too that SIPA is anticipating a cash distribution. In this, the latest I saw just this morning is they're expecting to distribute it in January of 2026. I'm thinking our share is going to be around $90,000. That was for an overcollection on the ECA that SIPA has been charging us. We do not pass through the ECA. We stopped doing that this year. So that money came out of the rate stabilization fund, which is why that account balance has decreased so far this year. So when this money comes in, that would just go back into the rate stabilization account for reflection. The major expenses that are really kind of driving everything continues to just be our purchase power from SIPA. We're going to see some significant wholesale rate swings in the next few years. And that's due to the retirement of Unit 3 at the Sherco facility. As SIPA pays off some bonds the next couple of years, and then Rochester leaving the agency, as well as some investment in some new generation, it's creating some pretty significant swings. Previously, what the commission had approved is a more moderated approach to implement small, steady rate changes over time, rather than sending large price swings to our customers, which can particularly impact our commercial and industrial customers pretty significantly. So if the utility can smooth that out, it seemed to be what's been the approach that we have taken over the years. SIPA is also switching to a monthly based ECA, which will help us on that rate stabilization account, so we don't see as much fluctuation there as well. And then we have seen our boiler machinery insurance experience significant yearly increases from year to year. So there's a lot there. To kind of summarize it in a tabular format, you'll see that we have tables set aside for both water and electric with the year-to-date 2025. So this is through the end of August. What I will do is for November, I will update all these for through September. So that I don't expect any major changes. It'll just adjust, just tweak the numbers a little bit. Again, you'll see the most recent completed 3 years, 2022, 2023, and 2024. What the 2025 budget is, what the estimated year end, and now that's a calculation done by our manager, which sometimes I'm not exactly sure how they come up with the numbers, so, but it's a tool, it's a data point. With my recommendation for 2026, and then you can see what that variation is compared to the 2025 budget. So for example, if we look at the first one, underwater, you'll see that the 2025 budget was $660,000. We're gonna finish the year at about 647. So we kind of overestimated revenues a little bit in this year. So we wanted to bring that back down so that we don't have as much of an over assumption. So the budget is at 652,000, which is lower than what the budget was last year, but it's slightly higher than what the estimated year end is this year. So you can kind of see how the numbers are coming together. So again, I won't go through each line item. Happy to answer any questions that the commissioners may have. You'll see that for both utilities, water and electric. And then the last table is a list of the major projects that we're looking at working on for next year. We are proposing to purchase the module for Cassell to allow us to do POs through my viewpoint. That's about 75. Looking at replacing a trailer for the skid loader, dump bed, stand-on skid steer. As we do more and more undergrounding, we do need to get a bore rig, and it would be good to get it now. Start getting some experience with it before we start incurring some larger expenses with phase 2 and phase 3 of the cap plan. Continue with the project of replacing the power plant windows, but that's covered through the SIMPA O&M budget. A new locator, and then starting to replace some of the chemical pumps at the water treatment plants that are at the end of their useful life. So that's a big overview. I guess at this point, the superintendents and I are happy to answer any questions or clarification the commission might need.
I think it makes sense to me. No other major projects you guys could possibly anticipate, or?
Well, the electric department will be busy with the cap plan.
Yeah.
So they will continue to work with that. You know, we'll go out for, well, we'll have bids back for the next meeting on major materials. And we'll continue to work through that over the winter. So I know the electric department's gonna be busy with that. The other project that we don't have on here because we don't have a budget or anything for yet but it would come out of the O&M budget, it would come out of the SIF, the capital improvements fund, is the 3rd Street project that the city is planning. And that's a full street reconstruct, which would be sewer, water, and road, curb and gutter, and sidewalk, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
I believe so.
So they do have those 2 major projects, but those are outside of the normal O&M budget street.
Fairgrounds.
From like West Branch Street to the front gate of the fairgrounds.
So the city's busy working with the engineer, who happens to be our engineer as well, to put all that cost information together, and I just don't have that data.
And we're liable for the water.
Correct. Correct. Now, that would be paid for typically out of the capital improvements fund.
So the electric portion of it, that's still above ground, right? That hasn't been suggested or that, or is they under already?
From about West Branch east, between West Branch, 7th Avenue North, whatever, east to Rum River Drive, that was part of phase 1. So from that point west of the fairgrounds, I believe I want to say is entirely in phase 2. So that we're gonna be starting next spring. I'd like to have them start on the north end of town to finish that up, so we don't need the river crossing over headlines. And then work on the residential distribution south of 95 on phase 2 after that. I don't know what the time frame is for the distribution up there, but the DGR is aware of 3rd Street, the 3rd Street reconnect, so yeah.
Since that's a city-driven project, I gotta wait for them to finish off their feasibility study, and then that will come before the commission to approve the project at that time, like why you're not seeing it here.
The water is probably pretty, not so difficult to figure that out before we do. We're gonna be digging for sewer and water. We capture whatever portion of that is our liability.
Yeah, the engineer is even cost analysis.
I have to look back because I don't know how it played good or bad, but if it's already underground.
So those are just,
Dig around it. what's there.
in that regard, we are treated just like a telecom company. It's just, we have our stuff in the right of way, we're supposed to move it. So those costs are just handled by the electric utility, if there's a
At
relocation.
this time, the indications from the engineer, city engineer, is that our stuff won't be significantly impacted. Is we're on the, trying to say on the back edge of the right of ways for Third Street, so. Yeah, I mean, there'll be a little bit of an impact, but not
What's the reason for the upgrade?
on Third Street.
Yeah.
So the city did a streets analysis a few years back and prioritized projects. So Seventh Avenue was the what came up with the lowest score. Third Street's next on the list. And so there's.
Sewer was a big driver on that sewer main. Is there one of the,
Was part of this.
You get the core of the sewer mains are ancient.
Yeah.
And that's, been a canvas that get down the road too long. So Michelle's bet if we gotta get this stuff going. Be more deliberate about
I think
it.
that,
Yes, but that's what I say.
that one, I think that street's a collector, I believe, on the sewer for some other
Right.
areas. So,
Yeah, it also is,
yeah, one of the one or two of the lift stations pump into that one there that feeds towards the Riverside Park or that down that direction, I guess, or towards back towards town.
the third part
Downtown.
is, that's gonna be, we're eligible for state aid funding for surface now, being willing for 5,000. So we can make that a collector road. So we get state aid funding, but that's it for the surface. Final three.
It kind of gets looked at as three different ones, the surface, the sewer, the water is kind of each has kind of got their own group, I think is how it gets broke out when they're, kind of how the last one works, so.
And that's, one of the higher traveled streets. Just, I'm sure that was a factor too. But,
There aren't all of our sidewalks on part of it.
Yeah,
The very east,
East part and on the north side of the street.
there will be sidewalk on one side, which is with the newer developments, like O'Reilly Meadow, one side has sidewalks. And you get some of the older parts of town, probably it's varied, but some areas have a lot of sidewalks and we don't. And I'm gonna go there, all apart, trees growing.
So yes, Commissioner, they will be busy.
We have time here.
I don't think so.
Are you concerned with only a $42,000 income budget? For water? Because in the past, you've got 2-3.
Yeah, no, it's still positive. Part of what's happening is, if you look at the depreciation, which is about cash expense, $450,000. But from a capital equipment standpoint, we're actually kind of low. We've got water sitting at just $88,000 for capital for major projects, which are capitalized, not expensed. I would like to see that a little bit higher than that. So from a net income perspective, yeah, it seems a little bit low. From a cash perspective, what you're gonna see is our cash balances are gonna increase because our depreciation is so high.
Okay.
And our corresponding capital investments for the year are gonna be a little bit on the lower end. That, to me, that's okay because we still have the open question mark of the PFAS situation. So if we build up a little bit extra cash now, which, again, we don't know the numbers for Third Street yet either, which ultimately is gonna play into some of this as well. So I'm comfortable with where it's at from an operating standpoint, and then we just need to continue to monitor the capital investments.
they talk about depreciation has always been kind of a, I don't know what to call it, but it's not a cash expense.
Yeah.
And it gets deceiving and, it's been used in the past to be deceiving with.
Other than say here, it's like-
To create a false impression, I guess, or.
And there is-
whatever you wanna call
Other maintenance money in the budget as far as plant maintenance and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not, the only thing as far as maintenance or upkeep that there will be throughout the year. There's kind of the given stuff that we're always doing.
it.
But-
We're talking about an increase in the water, that's based on actual increase. So we haven't acted lower our water rates in past years. Yeah, so.
The other thing I would say is, to me, when it comes to these financial reports, it's why it's always important to look at all of them in conjunction. As well, you know, the net income is a positive, that's a good thing. The cash reserves are healthy, and they're gonna grow a little bit, which is a healthy thing. The balance sheet continues to look very good. So when you put all three of those together, that's why I'm very comfortable with it. If we were suffering on the cash side and we were that low, then I would be much more concerned, but I think everything's kind of staying balanced the way it should be.
And then the public perception side of this, for those that do actually take the time to read it. An overabundance of gas meters doesn't always look good either in paper. Why do you need that much? It's a question you'll get from the average Joe on the street. The valid question, I guess, if it's not being handled properly. But I'm not comfortable with where we're at myself. So, yeah, so it's not an action.
No, any other questions on the budget or, as, again, the reason I do it this way is so that you can sleep on it, think about it. You know, before the next meeting, you can always give me a call, happy to go through each thing in more detail. But like I said, what I'll plan on doing for next month is I will just update it with new year-to-date numbers, which I just expect to be some minor tweaks, unless there's some questions. And I'm happy to do additional research and bring that before the commission at the next meeting. The other item for this, item B on the agenda is the fee schedule. So what I presented is a side-by-side of what the current fees are for each of the items and what we're proposing for next year. A lot of it is just increases based off of inflation, higher material costs, things of that. I think one of the things to probably point out is that the door hanger reminder has been discontinued. We no longer do door hangers. We are doing more e-notifications and have eliminated that. So that's coming off the fee schedule. Otherwise, like I said, a lot of those are just updated based off of the new material costs. I don't think there was anything else of any real substance other than just some adjustments there. Again, happy to answer any questions you might have, or if you have any questions between now and next meeting.
Minor adjustments.
You, you're with us, it's gonna be, I mean, is here, what would be hot for the board machine, that would be, we say that, you know, or.
What did I put in?
Gonna be ready.
185 for the rig and trailer, and then, well, the locator transmitter, I guess, would be another 25, what you had.
Yeah.
For both, so,
We have a very good capital fund.
yes.
Yeah, and I guess. We know we're going that direction, it's better get ahead of it.
Mhm.
And how much overhead are we gonna have left when we're done with this improvement plan?
Very
Down through.
Yeah, there's just very little.
Just a few residential services that eventually will be going.
I thought you were gonna have one line. Was it up north, where we keeping that as an overhead?
Yeah, there'll be a little bit on like Woodland Drive and 11th Avenue North. That's already at 7,200, the new the upgraded voltage now. Yeah, because I think the underbuild on the transmission line, the tie line here that goes down the transmission line will stay. tie the salt sub to the power plant. I mean, yeah, I mean, part of it, there's gonna be just a fraction of what's left.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like the overhead services and stuff that were done, mainly on the south end of town and stuff, and a little bit of the north that were done. The voltage upgrade was done previous to the capital improvements plan, but that's part of the reason for that rig too, is to go and finish up, go behind and finish all them up and get them from overhead to underground.
We know our upkeep and maintenance is gonna be going to the underground type
Yep.
in the future, so we'll still have to keep a boom truck around, I suppose, but. Yeah, that's what that means.
We still have some overhead anyway, so.
Yep, there'll be a little bit.
And that, I was gonna ask another thing too, or not asking, and Michelle's not here, but to the best of my knowledge, we don't have any like lead metal craft and stuff coming in, so we won't have any really going back to the estimated usage of,
Oh, for the unit sales?
I'm going back to the,
Yeah,
I don't think it, but certainly if the year comes up and I'm not aware of any, like a lead metal craft or something like that coming in.
Large customers.
There shouldn't be any huge, because where the rest goes.
Yeah.
So that's what my knowledge. And even if there was something going, it would be done. I mean, till the following year. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. You guys got anything else? Nope.
but yeah, I'll just, we'll update the numbers for next month and
Yeah, I can't think of any guidance we can give him other than what we do, what we discussed, and
okay.
to my knowledge. If I go with that one in there. Yep. That's part of the final budget, but action items.
No, I just would prefer to do them all at once.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that next month.
Okay. So let's move on to memo 25-35. Water service line right now.
Yeah, and actually, Scott, if you want to just,
Yeah, so this is a kind of been an ongoing project that we've been working on, updating. We have a fairly old set of guidelines we've been working with. We've been working towards, getting something up to date with, the newer technologies, the newer standards that we're working with, the different things that we've either transitioned to or, as far as accepted materials and methods and stuff there to, kind of be a good guide for help eliminate some questions from people looking at projects in town to the installers coming in to do the work and stuff. Work with WSB on it, several suppliers, trying not to spec anything too crazy tight where it was inclusive to one brand. I guess we tried to make sure that we left options out there for everything so that we didn't get too brand specific or whatever, so that more than one person can get the material supplied to them. Yeah, it's kind of been worked through it, run it by a couple installers in time over that have been doing work. Contractors, I guess, and through the suppliers and with the engineer there to get where we're at now.
so, yeah, we're really hoping it's gonna help with kind of those onesie twosie projects, infills, things like that, not, the big city design projects, even though this will help with that as well, but this is more meant for just answering a lot of the FAQs that we get for anytime anybody's doing a repair or a construction activity. I do need to correct the memo though. I did put in a placeholder under the proposal that this guide has been approved by the engineer. We have been working with Jen. She's familiar with all this. We're continuing to have conversations with her, but I did not have her. She hasn't approved the final version that you see before you. I just want to be clear. I don't want to mislead anybody. So we weren't intending for the document to have an engineering sign off anyway. This is more of a guide for installers. So we have been working with her, but I don't want to leave the impression that it's more than what it is, which is she's been familiar with it, providing input, and we're moving forward with it, but I don't have like an official approval signature.
But she's reviewed it and gave you some input. That
Correct.
is sufficient.
Right.
No, we don't.
Now, obviously, I can't be of any help on this, so yeah, I mean,
So we don't need that officially documented, just
I actually would prefer not to, because, you know, if we do, then anytime you want to change a word, you have to go through that whole process. There's not, in my opinion, there's not like engineering considerations here, because a lot of it is some equipment selection, is you allow plastic or are you copper only, you know, there's some system preferences that are under the purview of the superintendent to decide, forgive me for the sort of applies. So it's not a schematic, it's not an actual design, it's just, here's what we find acceptable to be used in our community. Because it can vary from community to community sometimes, and it ends up just being personal preferences with staff in some cases. Or soil.
Keeping some consistency throughout the system is probably as big as anything is that, so we don't have 50 different setups going through that. Everybody's using the same processes. When we go back to repair, we know what we need to have for materials there. That's probably the biggest portion. One of the biggest ones is to keep that we don't have, say there's 10 different kinds of poly or plastic pipe that they can use. We're saying we only use this one, or this style, the copper tube size, there's iron pipe size, there's another bigger one that's the fused type, so it helps eliminate us having a ton of extra inventory to do repairs. When the guys show up to town, they know what they need to bring with. Say every city's kind of got their preference and standards.
So, this I got straight in my head. We're telling, don't the city put the metering? This is for.
More the service line from the main to the house or the business.
That's us.
We just do the meter inside, or we supply the meter inside.
So who's ever done construction.
Yes.
Not does the.
Yeah, so it's a new construction, townhouse or the new dental office. We don't do the actual installation on that stuff, but once it's installed, then we are somewhat on the residential stuff. Through the service line protection deal, we are maintenance on that. So this is kind of clears up that, the biggest one is through the design process of a out of town design company looking at a project in town, they can say, all right, we can do, this is what they want to see for their materials. Like, you know, they're all acceptable. I mean, the acceptable stuff that you can put in that's approved is huge. We're just kind of narrowing down to what we've had in town, what works good around town, what we've transitioned to,
We've stocked for parts.
you know, and they, kind of that road, just, some of it's cost, you know,
for maintenance, so that would you have.
mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, the cost of, was another one there, the duct iron to C900, there's a substantial price difference in them too. So there's been a lot of just, you know, staying with iron, we're starting to get a little more lax on that just to help everything out. It's the same good product, it's been used the same. You know, keeping on with tracer wire specs and just a lot of preferences of stuff that's been done in town for a lot of it's for a long time. Sounds like we're opening up to get more modern, I guess, a little bit and current with what's out there for materials to use. Compression fitting, kind of that's a big one is compression versus flare. Forever, everybody has flared copper. Well, now the compressions are as good or better than flare, depends on who you talk to. So some towns are still completely flare, some don't want you to flare, they're completely compression, so there's a lot of different options and variations for that, so we're trying to get to everybody, so that when they looking at stuff in town, that they have a good idea which direction they need and kind of what we're looking for when we show up to do the inspections and
we don't have anything in place now.
we do, it's been a long time since it's been reviewed. So we'll kind of update to,
That should be pretty common. Until.
Mhm.
That wasn't there, guys.
yes.
so in just regards, if you catch an inspection. I mean, how does that usually? Usually everyone like proactively seeks this information out, or
Yes.
it's not a construction project usually?
You know, usually it's, I mean, it's usually started a design process.
Designer usually.
On the commercial side, the residential is a little bit different. It's just kind of residential would kind of fall back to more of the guidelines. whoever's, or likely at that time, the contractor bidding to put the stuff in, that gives them, they can look at this and see what they need to use for material to help them be prepared in their pricing and stuff for the installation. The commercial stuff gets more, that's more work into the design through the engineers.
Yeah.
Process.
Usually get pretty easy conformance stuff, but they're conformity.
Yeah, and the biggest one is just kind of more, what do you want? And they can, nothing, we don't have nothing crazy in here. There's nothing out of the ordinary, just the little nuances of the copper pipe to, we've been, from the main to the curb stop or a little bit,
System.
odd on that or there's very huge variations from the main to the curb stop. There's 10 different materials. You can have copper all the way, you can have poly all the way. Right now we're copper up to the curb stop through the street. And then they can go to poly. We're gonna stay with part of that if we're on the iron pipe for locating purposes, but now when we're 7th Avenue, we switched over to the poly, to C900, to a plastic water line. Well, the extra money, the 3 times the cost for the copper up there really doesn't do us no good. There's plastics that have shown to be, are good acceptable materials, so we're eliminating that copper on a stretch there where it's really not needed. To a point, then there's some towns that are still all that way. It's kind of a lot of personal preference. There's a lot of acceptable ways to do it, and just kind of a preference to the system, and your soil types drive a lot of that. For certain areas where they've either rocks or hot soils or different things like that, that kind of determines their material types too some, so we don't have a lot of concern on that kind of stuff around here with ours.
Or you do the same on electric.
Yeah, there's certain, like the cable and stuff, there's all, it's not 100% insulation, it's 122% insulation.
They use bypass meters.
Bypass meters.
It's real,
Yep,
And do we do the install to the house here, or is that electrician?
yes. It depends, like the new dental office, the electricians came all the way to the transformer. But on a house, yeah, we can, or stand on skid loaders to upgrade for putting that on. We have a little maxi sneaker, you see a lot of guys use them for sprinkler systems and stuff, we can do that, or dig it in, backhoe it in, or whatever. Yeah. But sometimes we gotta have a contractor come in, so.
On the service line issue, one of the reasons why we're wanting to do this, not just from a consistency standpoint, but is also making it easier for these outside contractors to work with us and do work consistent. Because short of this, the default would be to refer to the AWWA, the American Water Works Association manual. And if you saw Scott's library, 3 books, all about this thick, that are for the country, so every soil type, everything. Extremely hard to read that and understand what to use, when to use it. This is a nice, simple 3-page, hey, if you're gonna come in and you're gonna put in a residential service line, here's what you need to know. And so it's really meant to try to make it easier and consistent. Just let people go and get stuff done instead of I'm discussing.
Consistent stuff, you don't have to go very,
Yeah, that's the biggest one. The bigger on the contractor side, I guess we hear more is they don't really care what they gotta put in as long as they know what they need to use. It's all nothing crazy cost wise usually swings. It's just they want to show up with the right materials because it's an hour run and get something, so they show up to do it. And then the same, as we keep this consistent, if they're coming in to repairs, they're the same boat as more than likely it's gonna be this. We're still gonna be surprises. I mean, there's still a lot of oddball stuff around town. We're never gonna get it all, but it does. More we can keep it consistent throughout as we go here, the better it's gonna get as we go along.
then you go into maintenance and want to operate it, and right.
Mhm.
I just go back to the engineer sign off, I suppose the argument could be made, I'm not making an argument. If you have them sign off on it, give us colors maybe, but I think your argument for not doing it much better.
Again, what you're seeing in there is basically a subset of the AWWA, which has already gone through multiple committee groups and engineering reviews and all that. We're just narrowing it down to say, hey, if you come to Princeton, just keep in mind these 6 things. We do that, we'll be good, and you don't have to worry about all the other stuff, details. Modifications.
Looks good.
Yeah. Hey, it's an action item. Look at it. That's what would be,
Yeah, I would appreciate an acceptance of that.
getting action.
Motion on the service guideline.
Yes.
I move the accept the service guideline.
Second.
Motion and second. 25-35, Park Service Guidelines. Any more questions or discussion? Right now, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries. Okay, so what's the one underneath that?
Oh, that was just the guide.
Oh.
You have a copy of the guide, like, it's,
Oh, I thought it was memo in the back. Well, that's not right. Here's what we did it. Okay. Come to the final moments.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, second to adjourn. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Third adjourn.